So, what's the difference between email marketing and spamming? Well, for the uninitiated, Spam is actually a brand of luncheon meat made by the Hormel Foods Corporation. And it became very popular during World War II, especially as soldiers used to have it in their sea rations. And the use of it to do with being a nuisance was actually inspired by a scene from the BBC TV sketch show Monty Python's Flying Circus. And in one particular sketch, there's some people in a restaurant and the waitress is reading out the menu and everything has got spam on it. And the woman, actually it's a man in drag, but the woman who's ordering it is saying that she doesn't like spam, and her objections are being drowned out by a lot of Viking warriors who are also in the restaurant, and they're going spam, 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 spam. And if you haven't seen it, it's up on YouTube, and it is actually very funny in a silly sort of way. Anyway, spam is technically unsolicited email messages. And they're usually advertising, for things like Viagra or for pornography or watches and all sorts of stuff. And it used to be called electronic junk mail, and it does carry a lot of the characteristics of the sort of junk mail that comes into your letterbox or your mailbox, and it is just generally a nuisance. And just as a sidebar, spam isn't new. The first recorded spam message was an unsolicited commercial telegram that was sent en masse to some British politicians in May 1864 advertising a dentist. So it's nothing new. And of course, in the early days of the internet and the early days of email, sort of back in the 1990s, people started to get this junk email being sent through to them, and because it was a nuisance and it was unpopular, it reminded a lot of people about the Monty Python's Flying Circus sketch, and they started to refer to this junk email as spam. So you go through your email inbox and it would be, spam, 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 just like in the Monty Python sketch. And all of this prompted the US Congress to pass the CAN-SPAM Act back in 2003, and other countries have now followed suit and have similar laws on their books. Now, if you want to get really technical, I suppose you could say that spamming, well, it is email marketing, but it's done badly. And, spamming is stupid. It's illegal. It's unfocused, you're just sending this stuff out into the ether and hoping that it'll land in the mailbox of someone who might just be interested in your product or service. It's likely to get your email address or your domain blacklisted, and that can cause you all sorts of trouble down the line. And most of it gets filtered out anyway. Now, here are 5 golden rules to avoid being a spammer. Okay, rule number 1, and this is the most important rule of all, which is why we've got it at the top here. Only send email messages to people who have specifically asked to receive them from you. That's very, very important. So you only send email messages to people who have said, yes, you can email me, generally by signing up on your Squeeze page. Rule number 2 is to use double opt-in, and that is where, when somebody comes to your Squeeze page, they enter their information, they're immediately sent an email to the address that they've given with a link in it that they have to click on to confirm that they want to receive email messages from you. So they can't turn around and say, well, somebody else entered my email address in for me, because they actually had to receive the email and then opt to receive further messages. And this actually protects you, because it means that the address that's going to be entered is a genuine address and not a joke one. And rule number 3, Always give the recipient the option to unsubscribe from your mailing list, and most autoresponder services will include a link at the bottom of every email which will enable the person who's receiving it to click the link and be automatically unsubscribed from your mailing list. And you should have full contact details at the bottom of each email. So you want to have your name, you want to have a mailing address, you want to have a phone number, so that the person who's receiving this knows that you are a real person or a real company, a real business, and you're not just somebody sending out a load of spam messages. And finally, don't send too many emails. And this is very important because even if people have opted to receive them, if you keep bombarding them with emails, they might flag you up as a spammer, and that can cause you all sorts of trouble down the road. So if you follow these 5 golden rules, you'll be doing proper email marketing, not spamming.